Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
And welcome to the YPN Meet the Candidate Forum. I'm Marty DeLores. I'll be the MC tonight, simply because our budget did not allow for anyone better. The format's going to be really simple this evening. We're going to give each candidate 3 to 5 minutes to just introduce themselves, touch on a couple subjects. But the real gist of it is to wrap it up so that each candidate has time to take questions on a one-on-one basis with you all. So please hold your questions till the end. Stick around, that way you can mingle and meet with the candidates. With that, we have 11 to meet, so I'm going to jump right in and get this started. Again, for our candidates, you can see Lauren right there. She'll give you kind of your time. I have a list on how I will call you up, and we'll get started. I would like to start with the Northeast District, Tamera Fenner. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. I have mine on my phone, so I'll try to skip and not take too long. As he said, my name is Tamera Fenner, and I am originally from Miller, South Dakota. I was adopted and raised in Miller, and then I traveled a long, long ways to Erin, South Dakota, where I went to college. And I left Erin after 6 years with my MBA. And in 1993, I moved to Sioux Falls. Lots of changes since I've moved here. My parents were small business owners, and so I have a real heart for the small business owner. My parents had a bakery and the Driftwood Cafe. And so if you ever went to Miller and had donuts or rolls, it was probably at the Istis Miller Bakery. Just jumping ahead, the reason why I'm running for City Council is I have some concerns, and I'm excited about what's been happening in Sioux Falls, but I have some concerns for our future. And I really feel like what we need to do is strategic planning for now, starting now, so that all of you as young entrepreneurs have the opportunities that the others have had. So in the city of Sioux Falls, we have concerns regarding public safety. We have concerns with transportation, economic development, and affordable housing. And so as I've been out in the streets and talking with folks, these are the things that seem to constantly come up. And so speaking of specifically of economic development, we've done really, really well as a city, and you can see that obviously. But if you're young and upcoming entrepreneur and you have big dreams, I want to make sure that the city government is not putting things in place that would hinder you, that there's not too many rules and regulations, too many taxes that would tax you out of your big dreams. And so one of the things that concerns me deeply is a little known thing called a platting fee. And platting fees, you say, how does this have to do with small business development? Well, it actually is directly connected to affordable housing. If you don't have a house that you can live in that's affordable, how are you going to hire quality people to work at your small business? So it directly relates to could possibly relate to a cut in our economic development. The reason why I'm talking about it is it's an increase of 130%. So if we have 130% increase when people are building the buildings that young people are renting, that young people are buying, which of course that increase is a little bit different, but if you're trying to rent an apartment and the increase is at 130%, you're going to struggle to pay your rent, correct? If you're a small business owner and you can't afford to pay your rent, you probably aren't going to be able to afford the big dream to open the big business. Another thing is transportation. We have a transportation system, but we're struggling. And I just think that it's time to think of some big ideas and out of the box kind of thinking that would hopefully like something like bicycling, healthy options are something that we can begin to consider along with some other out of the box ideas. And I'm at 3 minutes, so I have jumped around as much as I possibly could, but that's who I am and that's some of the reasons why I'm running. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Up next, also from the Northeast District, is Patrick Starr.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for inviting us tonight.
As he said, my name is Pat Starr. We live in the northeast part of town, up off of Dubuque, and actually on Lake Placid Circle. One of the things the reason that I'm really running is opportunity. My wife and I graduated from college in Yankton at Mount Marty. We had a chance to say, where are we going to spend our futures? We're like the 3,000 people who move to Sioux Falls every year. We were looking for an opportunity. We had an opportunity to move. My wife found her first job. She's a registered nurse. I found a job in marketing and sales. We have 2 children. We have Angela is a 2nd grader at St. Lambert's, and my son is 14 and thinks he rules the world and is an 8th grader at O'Gorman Junior High. We've had those opportunities as a family. So our children, our house, our family, we're able to watch Sioux Falls grow. We want to make sure that in the future that we're doing some of the same things. The success that Sioux Falls is having right now is because of the work that our founder or leaders of our city did 20 years ago. So one of the things that being on the council that I want to achieve is to do that planning, do that infrastructure things. The reason we're seeing growth on the northeast side of town is because in 2006 and 2008, we put the infrastructure in place to make things happen. So all of a sudden, magically, the development just happens to follow along where the city did the planning and things that are involved. The other thing that I'm really excited about that if I got a chance to serve on the city council is the railroad redevelopment project. We're going to see some really exciting things in the next 2 years as the city goes out for proposals, has a chance to develop this part of town. And I think it's really important that we include green space, we get a chance for housing, and be able to move on some of those issues and things that it's done right, because we have that 12 acres and we're only going to get one chance to develop it correctly. So more than anything, it's opportunity, and I want to be part of the city council. Thank you guys.
All right, up next with the Northwest District, we have Jacob Johnson.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm more than happy to keep it short. My name is Jacob Johnson, and I'm running in the Northwest District. I was born and raised here for the first 19 years of my life, and at the age of 19 I decided to leave. I went to Argentina for a couple of years to do some missionary work, and then I went to college out west and moved back about 4 years ago with my wife and started a family. We currently live in the Northwest District. Sioux Falls has been a great town. I remember it fondly as a child. I'm glad to be back. And I think overall it is a great place to live. And despite some of the constant arguments that go on, it really is a great place. I've lived in much worse. I would like to be a part of helping it continue to be like that, to find a way to restrain ourselves as a city government and allow progress to happen, inspire it, but to make sure that we're not overspending what the means that we have. I sometimes feel in politics that the play is always the same. It's just the actors that change. I'm anti-crime and pro jobs and all that kind of stuff, but the reality is there needs to be a council that comes together and works well for the benefit of the cities, and I hope to be part of that. Thank you.
Next up, again from the Northwest District, is Greg Neitzert.
Hi, my name is Greg Neitzert. I'm 37 years old. I'm a software engineer with a company named Unisys. I've served on the Zoning Board of Adjustment with the City of Sioux Falls for the last 5 years. Been very involved in city government, going to city meetings, city council meetings for the last 5 years, studying city policy. Just been very involved, and I want to take the next step. Some of the priorities I would have would be bringing a fiscally conservative mindset to city government, particularly addressing our user fees and our taxes. Our user fees have gone up substantially over the years. Addressing our debt, holding the line on debt. Our debt is quite high right now. Another one is transparency. Having the council and the the mayor work together more and bringing stuff together, talking earlier and more often, and also engaging the citizens, bringing them in early, telling them what's going on. Another one is zoning to protect neighborhoods. I'm big on serving on the zoning board of adjustment and helping with shake places. I've seen what can happen when there's encroachment into neighborhoods by commercial. We need to watch that very closely. We need to give people more options of what they can do with their homes. We need to keep an eye on our crime, obviously. If we have out of control crime, you're not going to want to live here. I guess speaking to you personally, I guess I would say I'm also a young professional, at least for a few more years, and then I'll just be 40, I guess. So when I graduated college, so we moved to the Twin Cities, and we thought, well, we'll go to the big city, it's all exciting, there's all this great stuff to do, and we were there for about 5 years, and we found that there was way too much traffic, there was way too much crime, and it was just somewhere that was okay to visit, but we really didn't want to live there. And we sat down, me and my wife sat down, and we said, where would we want to live? Where would we want to raise a family? And Sioux Falls came up as the obvious choice. I grew up here, my wife spent a lot of time here, it was the perfect size. And it's the perfect place to be because we have low crime, we have a very vibrant economy, we have a lot of jobs. And so I think mainly on the city council, what I would want to do is essentially get out of your way and let you unleash your potential. We need to put the infrastructure in place so that you can succeed, fixing the roads, having low taxes so we're not taking too much of your money, and just let you succeed. And that's what I would want to do on the city council. Thank you.
All right, keeping with the Northwest District theme, we have Erin Srtska.
Make sure I don't trip. Good evening. My name is Erin Srtska. First, I'm going to start out, tell you a little bit about myself. I was raised here in Sioux Falls. I grew up on the west side. I graduated from Roosevelt High School, and I got my undergraduate degree here. I moved away to Nebraska. Go Big Red. Yeah. None? Oh, I do cheer for SDSU, and they do play each other during football a few times, but I am a Husker fan. You can't. So I moved to Nebraska to pursue my graduate degree. I married a Marine. My husband is a 12-year Marine Corps vet. And then we decided to move our family back here to Sioux Falls to raise them where I was raised. We have an excellent quality of life. We have really good education. We have a low crime rate. We are growing, we are booming. It's a great place to come as a young professional or a young family to have different opportunities that you wouldn't have in a larger urban or more rural. It's kind of the perfect middle size. The reason why I'm running is because I want to serve the public. During undergraduate school, I had the opportunity to work for the Sioux Falls School District. I really love kids. And I saw a lot of the same kids filter through over and over and over again. And one girl in particular I saw, and she was having a bad day, and I said, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? And she said, well, my mom decided she didn't want me today. She terminated her rights. She was a 5th grader at 10 years old, and it just broke my heart. And we helped her through that as staff. She came back a week later. She was being adopted, very excited. We all said we threw a big party. And not but 2 weeks later, she came back. And I said, what's going on, Michelle? Why are you here? And she's like, well, I guess they decided they didn't want me. The adoptive family decided to give her back. And when I asked my boss, I was like, what are we going to do about this? We need to help. How do we prop this young individual up to be successful? And she's like, well, that's just the way the system is. And I can tell you that that's why I went to graduate school. I thought if I had the right letters behind my name, I could help the community and serve the public so everybody has a chance to succeed. So running for city council, I currently work for the Minnehaha County Commission as a staff there. So I've experience in local government. But as a city council representative, I want to listen, learn, and use logic, right? Good leaders, you can think of the bosses that you've had or different community leaders. How do they, it's not what they say or what they do, but it's how they make you feel, right? And how do you do that? By being a good listener. So that's very important to make sure that I listen to my constituents and to the voters and to the staff that work very hard for the city to be able to make decisions. I also think it's important to learn. There's no one that can be an expert on everything, And it's important that you are always open to learning and you sit down with a fresh mind and open ears so you can make the best decision on behalf of the city. I also think it's important to use logic, right? So there can be all sorts of committees, be all sorts of work groups and all of these different things, but does it pass the common sense test? I think that's an important question to ask yourself as we move forward as a city council person who is in charge of budgeting and in charge of policy. So I want to serve the public, and I want to listen, and I want to learn and use logic to make the best decisions on behalf of Sioux Falls.
All right, and the last one we have from the Northwest District is Briggs Warren.
Okay, I'm Briggs Warren. I'm from the Northwest District, and I'm just going to address this right off the bat. I am a high school senior at Roosevelt High School. Yes, I can run. The city clerk has approved it. Going on from there, I was born in Sioux Falls, grown up here, love the community. I think it's a great place to grow up and live. I think it's a great place to thrive. Now, I'm young, so I'm focused on representing the youngest kids, youngest individuals in this community and our future, and looking to our future, not just 3 years, 5 years down the line, but 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Because eventually, I want to have a family in Sioux Falls. I want to raise this family, and I want to ensure that when I'm raising this family, that we've set up the future for them today. And that needs to start right now, and we need to look to the future. And that's going to be my primary goal. Now, what do we need to do to look to the future? We need to ensure first and foremost that the backbone of this community, our infrastructure, is sound. We need to focus on that, and we need to build it up. We need to ensure that we look not only to the next year and the year after that, but to the future and make sure that it's going to be ready for us. Going on from there, we need to ensure that there's transparency in city government. We need to invite the citizens into the city council and ensure that their voice is actually listened to. Because if you go to a meeting right now, you'll see that they're completely disinterested in what we have to say. And that needs to change. And that is something that I will change. Now, I actually really want to learn more about all of you and hear what you have to say. So with that, I'm going to keep it short.
Next, we'll be with the Southwest District, and leading off that is Marshall Sellberg.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the invite tonight from the YPN. I am a member of a similar group, the MAPN. Those of you who may not have heard of this organization, the Middle-Aged Professional Network. We have not been fully sanctioned yet, but we're working on it. So maybe about the time you guys move up in that class, we'll have it up and rolling. So anyways, it's a pleasure to be here. I am a 15-year resident of Sioux Falls. I have been in the area pretty much all my life. I grew up in Hendricks, Minnesota. Anybody know where Hendricks is? Okay, for those of you who don't, it's pretty much midway between Brookings and Marshall, Minnesota, right on the Minnesota-South Dakota border. My father owned an implement dealership. We learned early on when I was younger how policies both locally and nationally can affect a family and a business. I think that's probably what put my interest in issues and politics in at an early age. Upon graduation, I went to SDSU, was a jackrabbit. There we go, I got one arm. Where I juggled studies, always had a job, and I was a college athlete. I like to always tell people the story that I use that lightly. I played golf in college, but it worked with the girls, so I stuck with the college athlete type. I met my wife Jolene at SDSU, and then upon graduation we started our family, had our children in Brookings, and we moved down to Sioux Falls about 15 years ago. My wife is from here originally. We got married here 7 years before we moved here, so again, we've always been around the area and love it here. When you run for office, obviously you get a lot of input, a lot of advice. It's all welcome. As far as some topics in particular that I hear about, you hear about you know, obviously security at home, safety in communities. You know, it's a two-edged sword right now with this tremendous growth that we have in Sioux Falls, which is exciting. We're naturally going to have an increase in the crime rate. What are we going to do to keep our communities safe? And there's no bigger supporter of law enforcement than I am. You know, quite frankly, how they've been hammered on the last couple of years, I think shameful. I mean, what would our communities be without law enforcement? I think our leaders need to continue to step up and give them the resources needed to keep our communities safe. You hear about continuing the momentum in our economic development. Development speaks to our way of life, It's the one that brings the revenues to our city, brings the jobs to our citizens, brings revenue, again, brings money to town in all kinds of ways, brings new people to Sioux Falls, and it's one of the reasons that I ran for the city council. I've got 2 girls that are close to being out the door. I'm just about an empty nester, and I kept thinking, well, what we do today will obviously have an effect on Sioux Falls in 5, 10, 15 years. I'd like to be a part of that. What's going to maybe make my daughters and their generation decide after college in 5 or 10 years to come back here and make a life in Sioux Falls rather than going to Omaha, Des Moines, Portland, wherever it might be. And thirdly, one thing that we've talked about a lot and I hear a lot about is we need to get more people involved in city government. We need more people voting. We're looking at about a 15% turnout at the polls if the records hold up in a couple weeks, which is a yikes. And then we always talk, we need more people to vote. Well, what can we do to maybe spur that on? I would argue in the age of social media, in the age where we have a city with its own television network, and I've watched plenty of it, and there's lots of networking time available from what I can see, is that, excuse me, we not only use this to promote opportunities to serve, but also promote people that are serving. You know, shine a light on those that are already volunteering in their community that are making a difference, whether it's in the YPN, the Rotary, at their church. Let's start to shine a light on some of those people that are doing it. And in return, some people and friends might see that and get motivated to become involved as well. So those are some issues that I hear about that I've been particularly interested in. I'm looking forward to visiting with you and hearing what you have to say, but in general, I don't think there's a better city to live in Sioux Falls, and there's no better time to live here than now. And I would look forward to working with each of you to keep our city moving onward and upward as we go forward. So thank you again.
All right, for the remaining candidates, because we are getting some people to enjoy the spirits on the other side of the bar, so it's getting a little noisy over there, so if I can just ask that you make sure you're speaking loud into the microphone. Next up, we have from the Southwest District, Manny Steele.
Thank you. Name's Manny Steele. I'm Southwest District, as he mentioned, and I have mine on notes because if I put it on my cell phone, I probably couldn't read it anyway, so I'm doing it this way. And I've got my notes so I can follow. Raised a family while launching a career has its challenges and its rewards. When we began raising our children in a home located in the heart of Sioux Falls, we spent 2 decades as young professionals like you guys trying to make it all work. It was hard, but it was worth it, and it was worth the effort. Start with my background. I went straight from high school into the military, 6 years. After that, I started a phone company, climbing telephone poles. After that, or while working full-time, I went back to college in the evening. And I got my college degree, BA in Business Administration. When I left the phone company a number of years later, I was then in management and I was doing the hiring. From there, we went to Texas. Worked as a director of a distribution center. It was educational material that we handled. We shipped it out to over 200 different countries and in 4 different languages. Interesting, fascinating job. But the grandkids were still in Sioux Falls. So we came back home. Then from there I got involved in politics. I ended up with 8 years as a state rep from the Southwest District, District 12. Term limited out 2 years ago. So for the last couple of years I've been appointed to 3 advisory boards, the chairman of a committee. I'm a lieutenant now in the Civil Air Patrol, if you're familiar with that. It's the volunteer organization, but it's an auxiliary of the U.S. Air Force. And we do search and rescue, both for FEMA and for the state of South Dakota. And we train cadets in aerospace education. I enjoy serving in that position, and I love to fly these little Cessnas, so it's special for me. Anyway, that's my background in construction and management, and having served as a public servant, I feel I have prepared for the city council position. That takes care of part of it. I had it scheduled for 5 minutes, so I really have to try to talk fast. I was sharing my goal of becoming a part of the city government with a friend. And he made a statement concerning young professionals. He said, they are, to me, a bunch of the me generation. centered around that. They only want to know what's in it for me. I totally disagreed with what my friend had to say. But that reminded me of a quote. John F. Kennedy, many of you have heard it. My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. If you haven't heard that before, you should have. It's a good one. But I wanted to improvise that and say, well, how about if I ask you? Ask you what, not what Sioux Falls can do for you, what can you, as young professionals, do for Sioux Falls? I believe that's why most of you are here tonight. And I believe you care about our economy, our taxes, our jobs, adequate housing for our people. I feel you care about the police, the fire department, the first responders, our regional medical centers, which we can be proud of. I believe that you care about the future of our city and the quality of life that we are presently enjoying. And we are blessed to have what we have in this city. The mayor and the city council have done a good job, I feel. I look forward to visiting with each of you afterwards to discuss more of these points that have already been mentioned, as far as like the rail road and the debt that we're in. But because I believe you want to see Sioux Falls grow in all of these areas that I have mentioned, I want you to know that so do I. Thank you.
All right, and next up we have the at-large spot. And to kick that off, we have Ritch Nobel.
Thanks, Marty. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for having us. This is absolutely fantastic. And one thing I would like to say, and Councilman Kiley, I hope you don't mind I say this, but thank you for coming here and taking your time out of your day. I know that serving on council is quite a commitment, and then to also do this, so thank you for being here. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I think I've met several of you. While I am not a YPN member, I did get a pass to play in your golf tournament last year. Let's forget about that right now, and let's talk about moving forward. But I have a wife. Her name is Jennifer. She was not able to make it with me tonight. She had a school function. She teaches kindergarten in the morning at Sioux Falls Lutheran School, and then she teaches art in the afternoon. We have 3 children. Mally is 16, or will be Thursday, and she goes to Lutheran High School of Sioux Falls. Kennedy is 12 and Caston is 10, and they both attend Sioux Falls Lutheran School, which for many of you, and some of you young professionals may not remember this, but it's the old K Cinema that was here in town. So that school is still thriving and moving forward, and I love seeing that. I haven't been a big issue guy, and I haven't really talked about a lot of issues. And I'm not going to tonight, except for one-on-one while we share a beer or a wine or a water or whatever it is you'd like to share. But what I do want to talk about is why I decided to do this, okay? I'm a true believer in giving back. I really am. I think this city of Sioux Falls has blessed me and my family beyond my wildest imagination, okay? I have given back to the Boys and Girls Club, to the YMCA, to the Children's Home Society, to the Chamber of Commerce, and I could go on and on and on, but that's what I believe in. When I get involved in something, I get involved with both feet. I don't just put my toes in the water and then wait for everyone else to take care of it. One of my faults, if you will, is when I do get involved, I get involved 100%. City Council has always been a passion for me. Now, I will tell you, I grew up in Fremont, Nebraska. I didn't envision running for City Council in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But after being a resident here for almost 11 years, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And that sentiment has been heard from many of these people up here. We got a great slate of candidates up here. I mean, the city of Sioux Falls is really going to benefit from who's up here, okay? The other thing I want to talk about is how important this election is. 50% of the council is going to turn over, folks. That's huge. We are essentially going to have a brand new council. And I can't remember, I've asked, and maybe Joe knows and he can tell us later, but when was the last time 50%, half of the council turned over? So this election is very, very important to the city of Sioux Falls. I've spoke with a lot of the city people, and maybe Councilman Kiley can also chime in on this later, but there's a big learning curve that goes when you join city council. When you're a new council member, there's a huge learning curve. that puts a lot of pressure on those that are involved, and it puts a lot of pressure on the candidates. So all I ask of you, regardless of who you vote for, regardless of where you're at, please go vote. It is your right. Please exercise that right and go vote. That's all I have. Thanks again for having us.
All right, next at the at-large seat is John Paulson.
Thank you, Marty. Thanks everyone for being here tonight and for this opportunity to talk to you about what we see as the importance to our candidacy for young professionals. I think that's really an important question. And I also hope to have a chance to let you get to know me a little better as well. I want you to be thinking about something as I'm talking, and that is, what do you like about Sioux Falls? And what do you think we could work together on to improve or add? And that'll be important later on. I was once you. I was once a young professional, so I think I have an understanding of what's on your minds as you handle the challenges of balancing family and work and community obligations and opportunities, things I know you enjoy, but I think I have a sense of that, and I'd like to speak to that as well. I entered the race for the at-large city council position because I love Sioux Falls, and I believe that a positive approach to city government and working together is really what's best for our community. I truly believe that. I also wanted to share my administrative and community leadership experience on the city council and be involved in the important decisions they're going to be making about our future. That really appeals to me. By background, I'm a Sioux Falls native, as is my wife Jane. We've been longtime residents and moved back here 32 years ago to raise our daughter Emily. We've been active in civic projects. Jane's a mentor for a middle schooler, and we try to be involved in any way that we can with helping her. My academic background includes graduating from the National Championship Augustana University. Go Augie! And I've had a great career in healthcare administration, 40 years of it. I just retired recently. My last 30 years were with Sanford Health, where I served as the Vice President of Corporate Administration. My community involvement includes serving on the Sioux Falls Tomorrow Planning Program, which on 3 separate occasions established a vision for our community and initiatives that would enable it to continue its progress. And I really feel like that was a good background to City Council deliberations. I also served as the co-chair of the Forward Washington High School school bond election, which led to the building of the new Washington High and created the opportunity to develop the Washington Pavilion, which was obviously a good project, a good example of a positive approach and working together. I served on other community organizations in United Way and the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and would bring that experience and vision to my role on the City Council. I share those background items with you because I think that would be valuable in regards to addressing what the City Council has to with regards to the complex organization that a city represents. I think I understand that from my experience in healthcare, and certainly from the community leadership perspective. I think that's valuable perspective to bring to the City Council decision making, and I would look forward to that. Importantly, I truly believe, like I said, that a positive approach to city government is best for us. And I'd like to go back to those questions that I asked earlier and have you think about, where would we be if we hadn't been positive? What if we would have not had Phillips to the Falls or downtown development or the Washington Pavilion or the Event Center or the new Aquatic Center? What if we would have said no to those? What about our parks and our greenways and our bike trails? I think I've said some things that were in that answer to your question of what do you like about Sioux Falls? So I think it really illustrates how important it is to be positive and how it is so essential that we take that approach and work together to make things happen. I would close by telling you that I think Sioux Falls' best days are ahead of it, and you're going to be part of that. I asked you about what could we improve or what could we add. I think it's going to be up to you to say, what is that next big thing for Sioux Falls? What should it be? And approach that with a lot of excitement. In conclusion, I would tell you that there's going to be a lot of issues ahead of us. And I think what would really be important is to be consistent with the criteria that we would use to address those issues together on the council. Are we talking about well-planned growth? Is it something that's promoting cooperation? Does it provide taxpayer value? Does it facilitate workforce development and opportunities for those that are here? Does it build strong neighborhoods and a strong community? And does it facilitate that all essential, informed, and involved community? Those would be the criteria I would use, and I would truly love to serve you on the City Council. Thank you.
All right, and last up that we have for the at-large is for Theresa Stehly.
Good evening, my name is Theresa Stehly, and I was passing out a little information card. I hope you have that. I have a notepad too. I do have a website if you'd like to find out a little more information about me. You can do that at your leisure. I am a graduate of Northern State University, and I have been teaching private piano for the last 35 years. I've been a voice instructor at the University of Sioux Falls, USF, for the last 12 years. I've been a choir director for 28 years, a church choir director, and I've been a gardening instructor for the school district. I'm into organic gardening and working with nature to do what's best for the environment. So I've taught a lot of classes on that. I have a history of activism in our community, and the first time I stepped out was back in 1994. I had taken some friends down to the falls, and I don't know, maybe some of you weren't even born back then, but it was horrible down there. It was scary, it was under cared for, and I wrote a letter to the editor because they were going to take the money allocated for to work on the falls and put it on the ball fields. And I talked with the park board about it. I wrote a letter to the editor, and right after that the Argus Leader did an editorial echoing what I had said, and the ball started to roll. Now I think other people were interested as well, but it kind of sparked the conversation. And I'm about encouraging young people to get involved. You can make a difference. Don't ever think that you can't. And with my students at USF, I'm always telling them, step out, especially vote. Which, by the way, let me just also say, early voting is happening now. You can go to the county auditor's office and do that because they're changing the voting locations again. April 12th, they're taking it back to 56 locations. I have been a superintendent on these voting sites at St. Mark's Lutheran, and people come in and we have to tell them they're at the wrong place and they go home. So it's so confusing. So avoid that and go down to the auditor's office and vote. Cast your vote now until April 11th. I care about the common good. I care about people. And I am in this race right now because my dear friend Kermit Stagers has had some health problems, and he told me on February 10th he wasn't going to be running. And I was heartbroken because we are going to lose a huge advocate on the council. I have tasted what Kermit has done for representing just the average citizen for the last 20 years. And I think we need to have a diverse group of people on the council. Do we have people representing development? Yes. Do we have people representing big business? Yes. But Kermit, and my philosophy is we need to have someone who's going to be watching out for the average citizen. And some things that I have done to help the average citizen in the past have been the snow gates. Back in 2008, I heard about the snow gates, and I called Bismarck, North Dakota, where they were using them. If you don't know what they are, they put them on the snow plow. They keep the snow out of the driveway. And when you become homeowners, if you're not already, you are going to appreciate that service. But anyway, I tried to talk with the city officials and they were not interested, and it ended up, after the discussion, culminating in a petition drive in 2014 that was successful. We got 8,400 signatures. I spent hours out there organizing this, and it was fabulous. Most recently this summer, Councilman Kiley and a group of council people decided to look at our boulevard ordinance. And I personally have lots of flowers in my boulevard. They call me the flower lady. And I give flowers away to people. I have butterflies. It's a beautiful environment. Bees, natural. And so we worked to create something. They're going to vote on that next week. Hopefully it's going to pass. But it's going to allow people to have flowers and some landscaping on the boulevard, that parking strip. And so I'm going to continue to put my passion into helping, whether I'm on the council or not. But I do feel that we need to be connecting to people. We need to spend more money fixing our streets. We need to allocate more of that second penny into maintaining our roads. We need to work at keeping fees and rates low, like the water rates. When you own a home, you're going to see that it's sky high. I've watched my water and sewer rates grow double digits. So we need to keep affordable living for our people. We need to keep open and transparent government. We need to tell it straight to the public. And just recently we had the event center siting issue where we weren't told what the $1 million was going to be used for. And that doesn't sit well with me. And I have a history of standing out, digging in, and finding the answers. And also including you in the conversation. There's a public input that you can come at the beginning of a meeting and speak for 5 minutes. I would do anything to preserve that. I'll do a petition drive if we have to. There's been talk about moving that out. So, okay, 5 minutes. So anyway, I would appreciate your vote and just participate whoever you vote for. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of you for coming and spending time with the YPN tonight. This is our first event, so we're very excited to have you and take time out of your evening for this. To everyone out here, please refill your drinks. There's still some food left, and then stick around and ask the questions that weren't answered. Express your issues, and just meet the candidates one-on-one. 2 quick announcements. The Chamber is going to have their candidate forum next Thursday, April 7th at 5:30 at Carnegie Town Hall. Again, 5:30 at Carnegie Town Hall on April 7th. And then the Chamber is going to have their school board candidate forum this Thursday, March 31st, beginning at 6:30 at the Instructional Planning Center. So again, that's this Thursday, 6:30 at the Instructional Planning Center. With that, thank you and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Y'all come back now. Cheers.